What you're seeing here between Dan Goldman and Kash Patel isn't just an argument about documents. It's a confrontation over whether this country still has the courage to tell the truth, especially when that truth implicates the rich, the powerful, and the politically connected. This moment cuts at the heart of something deeper, whether justice in America is designed to protect survivors or designed to protect the people survivors fear. Dan Goldman doesn't come into this exchange with theatrics or grandstanding. He comes in with the knowledge of someone who spent years inside federal courtrooms, someone who knows how prosecutors operate, and someone who understands exactly how easily the phrase legally prohibited can be misused to hide materials the public has every right to see. The Epstein case has always existed in the shadows, full of sealed files, redacted names, unexplained agreements, and people who somehow always escape accountability. Survivors have had to fight not only their abusers, but a system that repeatedly failed to protect them. So when Goldman asks, plainly, whether Donald Trump appears in the Epstein files, he's doing something many officials in both parties have avoided, treating Epstein's network as a matter of truth, not taboo. Patel's hesitation, his vague answers, his shifting explanations, they all reveal something Democrats have long understood. When the government is ready to tell the truth, answers are direct. But when the government is hiding something or someone, the answers get cloudy, overly technical, and evasive. Goldman recognizes the difference immediately. He drills down with precision, cutting through Patel's legal jargon by naming the exact mechanism Patel claims to be constrained by, Rule 6E, the grand jury secrecy provision. And when Patel insists other orders prevent disclosure, Goldman pushes harder, because he knows what the public doesn't always see, that many of the sealed Epstein-related documents were unsealed during Maxwell's prosecution. And every document the government truly wants unsealed, it can go back to court and ask to unseal. That's the part Patel doesn't want to say out loud. For years, survivors have begged for transparency, not to embarrass powerful people, but to finally have the full story acknowledged. When Goldman presses Patel about videos, images, and interview transcripts, he's not chasing conspiracy theories. He's pointing out a grave inconsistency. If the government had enough evidence to prosecute Epstein and Maxwell, then they had enough to at least identify those in the periphery. So why is it that the public knows more about the survivors than about the perpetrators? Why are victim stories front-page news while the names of those who participated, facilitated, enabled, or protected Epstein are still hidden? This is where Goldman lifts the curtain on how cover-ups work in the real world. They don't always involve shredding files or deleting tapes. Many times, the cover-up looks like bureaucratic inaction, not filing motions, not requesting unsealing, not prioritizing survivor access, not clarifying ambiguous rules. It's silence wrapped in procedure. Goldman knows that transparency isn't just a bureaucratic choice, it's a moral one. Survivors need closure. The public needs accountability. Democracy needs sunlight. And the only people who benefit from secrecy are those who would face consequences in the light. When Patel claims that the videos are primarily illegal content downloaded from the internet, Goldman instantly redirects, because that's not the point. No one is asking for child abuse material to be released, and he makes that clear. What he's asking for is everything else. Who visited Epstein properties? Who was recorded? Who was present during trafficking operations? Who participated in exploitation? Who facilitated travel? Who had connections that allowed Epstein's empire to grow? These names matter not because of public curiosity, but because justice cannot function when accountability stops at one or two people. Epstein did not act alone. Trafficking rings do not exist in a vacuum. They require networks, financial, political, logistical, and social. Without transparency, those networks stay intact. The moment the exchange reaches its peak is when Goldman demands to know why the DOJ went back to court to unseal only the grand jury records, but conveniently didn't do the same for the witness interviews and evidence that could expose other perpetrators. That selective transparency is exactly what survivors have been warning about, that the government opens the files that make it look responsive, but keeps sealed the files that might implicate individuals with influence. Patel's refusal to answer becomes the answer. Democrats have always understood that justice is not neutral by default. it must be intentionally protected. Left alone, power protects itself. Silence protects the well-connected. Systems bend toward convenience, not courage. So Goldman's confrontation with Patel isn't just about documents. It's about forcing a system to choose between protecting survivors or protecting powerful men. When Goldman says, "You are hiding the Epstein files. You are part of the cover-up," he isn't inflaming the moment. He's naming a truth many have suspected for years, that someone, somewhere, always steps in to keep the Epstein network from being fully exposed. Whether that's institutional fear, political pressure, or legal maneuvering, the effect is the same. Survivors are denied justice. Patel's self-defense only underscores the divide. He insists that accusing him of covering up child trafficking is categorically false, but Goldman immediately redirects the conversation back to the people who should matter most, the victims. They have reached out to Patel. They have tried to speak to him. They have asked for transparency. And Patel has ignored them. That's the part that hits hardest because it reveals the moral center of this clash. When survivors request a meeting and a public official refuses to respond, it tells them, and tells the country, whose voices matter and whose do not. This hearing shows why transparency is a core democratic value, because without it, power rewrites the truth in real time. Without it, survivors get silenced, not heard. Without it, the justice system protects institutions instead of people. Without it, democracy becomes a performance, not a promise. If America is ever going to rebuild trust in its institutions, moments like this cannot be brushed aside. They demand attention. They demand accountability. They demand the courage to name the uncomfortable truths. If you want a justice system that protects survivors instead of shielding perpetrators, if you believe that no one, no matter how wealthy, connected, or politically powerful, should escape scrutiny, if you believe that transparency is not optional but essential to democracy, then stay informed, stay engaged, and stay with us. Because the truth doesn't reveal itself, it must be pursued. And justice doesn't flourish in silence, it flourishes in the light.